I'm also high on all for the Cardinals receiving core because I feel like it's trending upward. Like if you had asked me right now, like how many young wide receiving cores in the NFL I would take over the Arizona Cardinals, tight ends included, I mean, I could name 12 to 14 that I would take. Unfortunately, our friends at Pro Football Focus have a difference of opinion, Bo, because they've got the Cardinals, I believe, according to this graphic, 21st in the NFL. Again, this is from PFF. The Cardinals drafted MHJ as wide receiver 1, filling out a major need and elevating the outlook of the rest of the group. Tight end Trey McBride led the team in 2023 with an 80.5 receiving grade, and any uptick in production from Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, James Conner would make this a fairly strong group. But again, they had this listed at 21. Just don't know how you can do that when PFF themselves listed Michael Wilson as a breakout candidate. Yeah. Most people have MHJ as a top 12 receiver in the NFL, and most people have Trey McBride as a top 5 tight end in the NFL. Like, the math's not math in there for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, I think it is based on data, right? And really not having much foresight as far as what it could project to become. And, you know, some of the PFF nerds, and if you look at Cardinals from previous season, like they aren't PFF darlings. They're not. No. Like you'd be hard pressed to find anybody with a decent grade outside of like Mac Wilson and Trey McBride. So, you know, they're going to go with the teams that graded high in 2023 and just say this is where they rank now. But at the end of 2024, the list is going to look completely different. And the Arizona Cardinals have the playmakers that can emerge to get them way up those rankings. And one thing, I was looking at those preset rankings where you've got the Bills 27th. So like Josh Allen can't read a defense. Is that a fatal flaw for Josh Allen? And then you've got Cleveland 31 and Philly, as I mentioned, some concepts they take from them. Petzing came from Cleveland. Like that's probably just the offense. It's probably just the offense they're running. It's not an indictment on Kyler Murray and his inability to read a defense pre-snap.
Okay, so I'm not loving PFF's rankings. Bo, you pointed this out. How about ESPN's fantasy rankings, average draft position and ranking for a lot of the Cardinal skilled players? Walk our audience through the cockamamie narratives that continue to come out from the worldwide leader.
Well, it's not very flattering. If we bring these up, we'll find that the Marvin Harrison Jr. is the highest ranked on the ESPN's. This is non-PPR fantasy football ranking. So, you know, some people did ask me, like our guy Donnie Druin asked who even plays non-PPR fantasy football, which is a valid question. But if you're just trying to dabble and not to get too in depth, but like Marvin Harrison Jr. still is, he's 39th, I believe, overall.
Okay.
And he's wide receiver 16. So that's not great. And then you've got James Conner, who was probably their best fantasy player last year. He's RB 23. And then you got Kyler, who's QB 10. He's down in the 70s. Like Trey McBride was 69th overall. So there's just not a whole lot of love for the Cardinals. I would say that you're going to be able to find, you know, you're going to be able to land some Cardinals and get some sleepers from this roster that, you know, fantasy football wise, people won't be high on, but that's not the case. Like usually in the area of the team that you're drafting. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to wait on MHJ or Trey McBride or James Conner or Kyler Murray. I think that those guys are going to go early. So will Michael Wilson.
Like, who are the tight ends? The 6 tight ends drafted ahead of Trey McBride. Like,
I wanted to go after that. And then, you know, you look up Evan Ingram and he had 114 receptions last year.
This is non-PPR though.
Right. I mean, you're right.
He
had more yards than McBride. And I think
Evan Ingram did?
Yeah. He had over 900 yards receiving.
He had a great season last year, but Trey also didn't start for half the year. So that's, got to factor that in as well.
Tight end 6 was like, who the heck was tight end 6?
Kittle.
I mean, like Mark Andrews, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce
was 2. Kelce was 1.
You know how I feel about Kittle.
Mark Andrews was ahead of him. I think it was 5. The other one was questionable. The tight end had a
Njoku, maybe?
Yes, Njoku was, but he scored a bunch of touchdowns last year, I think.
I mean, Trey McBride played 12 games, most of them without Kyler Murray. Can we just That's pretty bad. The K1, if Brock Purdy's ahead of Kyler Murray from a fantasy perspective, like I saw that recently, I made me want to throw up. Maybe want to throw up in my hat.
Well, it's
Brock
like we
Purdy
talked about with those props, Johnny. I think it's just like a games played thing.
Yeah.
They think Brock Purdy will sustain the season, and they think there's a chance Kyler doesn't.
The Brock Purdys of the world are always available in the waiver wire pickup. Like you can always go get a Brock Purdy. Like Jared Goff was always available in our league, saved my ass from going to Waffle House last year. But Kyler Murray, like there were people drafting him and stashing him all year. For what reason? Because he's an electric playmaker. The James Conner thing, everybody's ready to anoint Trey Benson. Like again, when I do hits, it's like, how soon can Trey Benson become RB1? I'm like, well, James Conner's pretty good. He had a career last year. No, Trey, we'll see about Trey Benson, though, right? By Halloween, he's going to take over. I'm like, probably not. Like, I could envision a scenario in which James Conner builds off of the year he had last year, has another really good season, so you should probably draft him. The Michael Wilson one, let's see that one more time, though, Damon. The Michael Wilson one is probably outside of Trey McBride the most egregious. Wide receiver 82.
He's like 224th overall. Wide receiver 82. They've got Zay Jones ahead of him.
Guys, I think what you're not realizing about this is don't tell anybody. We're taking Michael Wilson in the 14th round.
Listen, I'm a homer. I'm a fanboy. I love this team. We were not doing this last year with the Cardinals as it relates to the rankings. We were sitting there and taking our medicine saying, yeah, it's probably about right. They got Colt McCoy throwing them the ball, and this is an offense in transition. Zach Ertz, pray for your life if you're drafting him. Like that's the kind of things we were saying. Check the tape. I'm telling you right now, I think you're going to get a good litmus test within this first month. Some of the defenses they face, the expectation is they're going to score a bunch of points and have a bunch of yards. Like when are the Cardinals going to sit back and score under 20 points again? It's not happening. You cannot take what they did last year outside of maybe at the end with Kyler Murray when they're cooking with gas in Philadelphia and they're putting up nice numbers against the Seahawks. Like outside of those instances, you just take last year and you throw it away from a total team offensive production standpoint. Because when you don't play the large majority of your season without your franchise quarterback, he then comes back, did not have an off season and needs like 4 to 6 weeks to get cooking. And then that's what people are basing it on. It's like, I'm sorry, you're paid to be smarter than this, ESPN. That's really bad.
It's like you're looking at the receiving stat, you're looking at the yards and the touchdowns, but you're just like, you didn't even look at the games played. You didn't look at the games started. You didn't look at the snap counts. It's just like you're supposed to be the next level. You got to help out, the person that's not paying as close enough attention so they can have a good fantasy team. But when I look at this and I see Marvin Harrison Jr., I see Trey McBride. So you got MHJ going in his rookie year. You got Trey McBride going into year 3. You got Kyler Murray poised to have, enter his prime. And then you got like Trey Benson. It's like, where do you think these guys can rank next year at this time?
Oh, man. I mean, like it would be a colossal, letdown if Marvin's not a top 10 receiver, which again, like I looked over the weekend, he's top 10 right now in certain instances.
So has him as a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy. Yeah. I think if he can be anywhere from 12 to 10
next year.
Yeah. I
think it'd be a mistake. I think it'd be, if we're not sitting here 7, 8 or 9 projecting, then that's disappointing. Kyler Murray, firmly within the top 10 would be good. But how do you feel like the trajectory of Trey Benson is? Do you think James Conner has a future here? That's my question for you.
Well, it's just seeing the writing on the wall, taking Trey Benson 66th overall. He's, fresh legs coming out of Florida State, should, get some opportunities this year. But like year 2, I think Trey Benson could be in a position to be immediately anywhere from like 20 to top 15 running back with as much as they run the football. And then Trey McBride is going to be top 5.
Like who are some of these other teams? This is not good podcasting. That is ranked higher than Arizona with PFF. Like you sent that
Philly, San Francisco. Are you talking about like
the usual suspects? Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now. All right, so this is not good. Niners, Dolphins, Eagles, Bears, Texans, Vikings, Lions. I don't have an issue with any of those.
Mm-hmm.
Rams. I mean, Puka and Cooper Kupp. What else do they have? Cincinnati's fine. They have Corum. Seattle's fine. Tampa Bay. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'd rather have Arizona's receiving core than Tampa
Like in
Bay.
a year, the Cardinals are going to be ahead of them.
Easily. Tennessee.
Yeah, it makes me sick. I want to flip this table right now. I love the new Studio K. I'm about to flip the table that Tennessee. They're nearly 10 spots ahead of the Cardinals.
Who did Don Carthon pay off this offseason to be elevated where he's not taking shots left and right in the media? Will Levis, DeAndre Hopkins, Tajay Spears was unwatchable last year. Unwatchable. Calvin Ridley.
The other, like the alternatives, Tony Pollard, who is terrible.
Falcons is fine. I have no issue with that.
What you got, Damon? You want to add something?
I don't think Tajay Spears was unwatchable. I thought he was pretty good.
All right, hang on.
He was just behind Henry.
Yes, Tajay Spears. Okay. Maybe I was a little bit critical.
He was a rookie.
I thought he paid Tony Pollard all this money for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Tajay Spears has better numbers than I thought. Yeah, he averaged over 4 yards per carry. For whatever reason, I had it in my mind that Tajay Spears had like 2.5 yards per carry last year. Maybe I drafted him as a handcuff to Derrick Henry, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. He was not unwatchable. Thank you, Damon, for correcting me. If Tajay Spears family members are watching, I apologize to you.
I don't understand why no one crushes the Calvin Ridley deal as much as it was a nasty, nasty deal.
They have Vegas. They have the Las Vegas Raiders ahead of the Arizona Cardinals as a receiving core.
To Damon's point, like Calvin Ridley had the quietest 1,000-yard receiving season. Like if you had him on your fantasy team, like you look at the cumulative stats, you're like, oh, he had 1,000 yards, but I didn't win anything in fantasy because he didn't have like big weeks. He was not an impact receiver last year for Jacksonville, and he got $90 million.
He's just like, I'm just here to get my 60 yards and maybe a touchdown.
I just need that money to use on BetMGM.
The Vegas I'd rather have the Cardinals than the Vegas Raiders. I'd rather have the Cardinals than the Kansas. I mean, would you rather have the Chiefs receiving core or the Cardinals?
Patrick Mahomes would rather have the Cardinals.
No doubt. No doubt.
Your only case against the Cards is like you got Kelsey and Pacheco.
But come on, Pacheco's fine. He's fine. No, James Conner. They're listing Hollywood Brown as the number one receiver for Kansas City.
It's crazy.
Cardinals belong in the top half of the NFL. Yeah, Treylon Burks was my guy. He's there. He could be cut this preseason, Merv. They signed Tyler Boyd. They have the all Steve Keim receiving core. They have Tyler Boyd. They have Calvin Ridley. And they have DeAndre Hopkins for Will Levis.
Kicking the tires on all those guys.
Like on paper, it's not bad as a 3, but like talk about old receivers.
In 2019, it's legit.
Legit. No youth on that at all. No projectability. Like just old guys.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley has played in the league for 5 years. He's 30.
Yeah, Jack Smith says it. Hollywood Brown can't get open. I don't remember any time outside of maybe the Dallas game last year that he was open. I mean,
you had Trey McBride going off and taking, he was the vocal point of the Cardinals offense, and like you just couldn't find space for your ex.
Hollywood Brown wanted to stay here. His best friend's the quarterback, and the Cardinals were literally like, we cannot pay him bare minimum money because he legitimately is. I don't even know if they view him as a starting caliber receiver in the NFL.
Right.
He was a hamper to what they wanted to do.
He's a losing football player. Like, I'm sorry, but he is. I watched him all year last year. He didn't make one winning play.
That's how I feel about Rondale Moore.
I saw him hanging out with Mahomes and I think it was Mahomes and maybe Kelsey at a finals game.
It's
already infiltrated like the crew.
The Baltimore Ravens could not, after a career year, trade him fast enough.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? They're like, get out, get what we can. We'll take advantage of Steve Keim, Cowherd's buddy. The Cardinals receiving core may not be the most established, but you got to love that it's young. It's got a ton of promise. It's cheap. It's inexpensive. and it's only going like this. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr., top 10 receiver. Michael Wilson, you know how we feel. He's our breakout player of the year for this podcast. Greg Dortch slept on. Trey McBride, a freight train from hell. Like, this is if you're a Cardinal fan, this is the most exciting receiving core since Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald were here. Maybe Larry and Michael Floyd when Floyd had 1,000 yards.
Like, I see Green Bay, and like I know Green Bay emerged last year, youngest roster. They make a divisional round playoff game. They had the Niners on the ropes, but like Wicks, and I know they added Josh. Who's the kid? Was it Josh Jones?
Well, they have Jaden Reed, right?
Yeah, no, but I'm talking in the run game.
Oh, Josh Jacobs.
Sorry, apologies. Like, he got a big deal, but I think the Cardinals could have more upside offensively than that. Dallas just has CeeDee Lamb. Like, they have Turd Ferguson at the tight end position,
who made the Pro Bowl over Trey McBride.
And then they've got Brandon Cooks,
Zeke, bro. They got Zeke. Yeah,
back. They brought Zeke back in.
I can't say anything bad about Brandon Cooks, because Brandon Cooks at age 30 last year saved me from going to the Waffle House for 24
And then the
hours.
Cleveland Browns with like Amari Cooper's good. Njoku's good, but I like the Cardinals' upside. If they get Nick Chubb back, it changes things.
You're forgetting that Jerry Jeudy was the move of the offseason, Bo. Remember that from last week?
Yes.
Callback?
Egregious. Jets 19th, one of the worst offenses in the league. Jets are 19th ahead of them. The Commanders ahead of them. The
Commanders.
Yeah, with Terry McLaurin and Johan Dotson.
I don't want to be this person because
You're going to be.
I respect the opinions that external analysts bring to our show. We're very respectful of hearing outside noise. I'm at the point where I hate the national media with this team. I can't listen to them talk about it. We live this every day. We analyze it, paralysis by analysis. We talk about it ad nauseum. And these people are so inept and ill-informed. Like, turn your brain. I just want to be like, turn your brain on to some of these people.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy, who's hurt every other game. Amari Cooper, I'm 36. Amari Cooper is probably almost my age. David Njoku off a career year. Deshaun Watson, who Kyler Murray would smoke head to head now.